That's the crazy thing. Most pest guys are just doing pest control. They don't do wasp baiting. As far as I know, I'm the only company in the valley that does wasp baiting.
Why? So like, Trigard. I mean, who are the biggest names?
In the valley?
Yeah. Come closer.
Probably Trigard, Western. You have Terminex. You have your Orkins. You have those types of guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But for as far as local, I'd say Trigard, and they're regional. They're not necessarily local. Vertex is probably one of the bigger ones. Vertex and Barrier are your two biggest local ones.
So with those companies, are they using any proprietary?
No.
They're all using this.
We're all using the same stuff. The slight differences is how are they doing it? When are they doing it? What products are they using? We can all use the same products. The biggest variances in your lawn care companies. The bigger lawn care companies have their own special blend of fertilizer.
Yeah.
That they can go to Simplot and say, hey, we're going to order 2,000 pounds of this fertilizer. Can you mix it this way?
Yeah, but when it boils down to it,
it's the same thing.
It's nitrogen.
Yeah.
If nitrogen gets into the soil, then you're going to have a green grass.
Exactly. Right. My yard, I just came from a yard. It looks phenomenal. John Otto's yard, right?
Yeah.
Looks absolutely phenomenal. We've been treating it for 2 years. And there's no difference.
Yeah. So it's the nitrogen that gets into the soil. It's whether it's going to be a slow release, fast release.
Yeah. But it takes time. You have to do everything correctly.
Well,
but with the pest control, it's can you schedule correctly? Can you bill correctly? Can you service correctly? And can you prevent the need for multiple reservices in a year? Right. And so I found we use the highest grade products. We just do a good job. And we show customers that we do our service by recording it. Like, I don't have customers quit canceling unless they're in a financial need.
Yeah. And you really don't have a sales force. I mean, it's really just by word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Yeah. Customer base, some Angie leads, but I've gotten so busy, I hardly even do Angie leads anymore.
So what differentiates Nature Shield in comparison to all the other ones that are out there? I mean, I know one thing that you do that I think is brilliant, and this was kind of a brainchild of yours. As the majority of the clients that you service, they're not home.
No,
when you go in,
kids and groceries and travel and work and everything else, and most households nowadays, both parents are working.
Yeah. So how do they even know that you even service them?
Yeah. In the past, it's been the past 20 years. It was we either leave a paper hanger on your door saying what we did and what chemicals we used, or you got an email.
Well, but the reality is that you've got these service techs. So they hire these guys right out of college. Well, they might be in college or right out of high school.
High school. Most of these guys don't have a college degree.
And so
they don't have any direction in their lives. I tell customers all the time, it's not like I'm hiring doctors and lawyers to come do your pest control. I'm hiring the 19-year-old kid that has no direction in his life, that needs to be paid between $10 to $20 an hour to come and work outside. Right? So you can't necessarily always trust that he's going to do everything exactly right every single time. And so how do you make sure that you are getting the service that you're paying? And most companies nowadays are charging around $125, $150. I've heard upwards of $200 a service.
Okay, so when you say service, that's not every month?
That's quarterly. Every 3 months, you're paying between $100 to $200 a service.
So that's $50 a month, roughly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And but what they don't know is, okay, and they're going to be spraying the outside of the house, probably some areas of transition areas from yard to sidewalks, that type of thing. But again, it only is going to be affected if they actually service those areas.
Yeah. And here's the crazy part. In my decade of experience, most people don't even realize what service they're getting. You'll ask them, so does your company do this, XYZ? They go, no, I have no idea. When they first signed me up, they probably told me, but I forgot.
Oh, so they don't even know
they don't even know the service that they're getting. So we can come in and say, hey, we do something unique. We show you every single time exactly what we do.
So how do you show that?
We record it with a body camera, just like a police officer would. So the way I developed this thought process was I was working in Phoenix at the time. I was selling a solar for a solar company, knowing that I wanted to start my own pest control business. And I ran into a guy, and he owned a lawn care company. And he said his cherry on top, the thing that made him unique, was instead of using the blue dyes when he sprayed for weeds, he used a green dye just to be different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if you could figure out a way to spray somebody's house and show them that you've come by, it'd be huge, right? So at first I thought about it, and I talked to you about it. And I think you even mentioned it to a patient, and he was like, oh yeah, I'd love to know. So when I let my dog outside, I'd know where he's
that's right. Yeah.
stepping in the pesticides and stuff like that, right? Well, after thinking about it, I was like, there's no way somebody wants their house sprayed blue or green for a week.
Yeah.
Right? Around 3 feet up and 3 feet out around the entire foundation of the home. There's no way. But how am I going to show a customer that we're different and that we actually came? Because it's the number one problem in the pest industry. No one realizes this. But I've worked from California, Seattle, North Carolina, Chicago. I've worked in a lot of the major cities and with a lot of the major pest control companies in the country. And the number one problem customers complain about is, did my guy show up? Because a lot of times they don't. Or they do and they sit in their truck for 5 minutes and then they take off. It's the number one problem. I've even heard of customers complaining about, it's not customers, it's actual technicians from other companies saying, my company only allots me so much pesticide per month.
Oh.
And if I go over, I can't get any more. I'm only spraying water at that point for the remaining week of the month.
Oh my goodness.
So the pest control industry is very shady. Like a lot of industries.
Yeah, because they
there.
can be, and no one's going to, like you said, the majority of clients that are out there, people that have this service, they don't even know the services that they're going to get.
No. And so we wanted to show, okay, how can we truly be the most trustworthy pest control company in the nation? By far. Because as far as I know, no one else does what we do by recording the service with a body camera. Well, when I was thinking about this stuff, it was during 2020 when we had all the police body camera footage coming out of all the different riots and the police stops and the police brutality on this and that, right? And some of it was saving police officers and some of it was condemning.
Sure.
Well, I figured, why couldn't I do that? So I looked up what are the main police body cameras out there. And we found some Chinese police body camera, and it was under $200. I was like, I could do that. So we started recording it, and we're now known as the only pest control company, at least here in Idaho, if not in the nation, that records our service every single time. In fact, we don't even charge our customers for the service until they receive a recording of the service done.
So how long does it take you can speed it up, you can look through it really fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So we upload it to YouTube. We download it on a Mac computer, put it in iMovie. We speed it up at 4x, and then we upload it to YouTube. It's called an unlisted video, so no one can go search for it or find it, but we send them the link in an email.
Oh, that's cool.
Link works like a key into a house. You have to have the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the link is the only way to access the video. So they access it and they can review it at any time. And the cool thing about YouTube is they don't care how many videos we upload in a day. They don't care how long we leave them up there. So we don't delete any videos. So I've got videos up on our YouTube page that if a customer has that link or requests the link, we can go back 4 years and go and find their service from 4 years ago and send it to them.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about Idaho. What would you say is the most destructive pest, insect, pest, whatever, that most people don't realize? Like if they see it, they should get it taken care of right now.
I would say wasps. we're starting to learn more and more about wasps and how bad they are for the human body. And one of the things that's blown my mind is the more you get stung throughout your lifetime, the more likely you are to have an anaphylactic shock at some point. So I heard of a story of an old rancher that got stung every year out driving cattle. Never had an issue. And then he got into his 60s and 70s and got stung and went into anaphylactic shock. And they barely got him back to the hospital in time.
I often say if I could be God and wipe out one insect, I hate wasps. I got stung this year. I hate them with a passion. They get on my tractor. I go around with this can of wasp spray and I snap the tractor to see, okay, where's the wasp? Because there's always a wasp nest. So you have a service that has been extremely effective around the house for us that I think is actually pretty brilliant. So explain to what do you do for wasps that is different? It's not like you're going around and spraying the wasp nest.
Well, we do. Every time we come out for your normal quarterly service, if we see a wasp nest, we remove it.
Oh, that's right.
The problem is we don't always see them. And sometimes they're hidden in, for example, I went to my neighbor's house yesterday and luckily I opened up his gate kind of hard and some wasps came out of a little hole in the gate. And I mean, think about if you're allergic and you go walking past your gate and a wasp nest comes out, right? And so luckily I was able to spray it. Luckily I found it, right? But that's not always the case. And so the service we provide, it's called wasp baiting. And again, as far as I know, we're the only ones in the valley that provides it. There might be other people out here, but I've never heard of anyone else. And it's a program that was developed by a company about 5 years ago, and they really started hitting it hard in California. And the way I found out about it was when I was starting my company, I was researching everything I could about pest control. And I found these guys and they were hanging up bait stations. And at the time, the bait stations were like these little orange pill bottles that you would fill with cat food and mix it with a pesticide. And the wasps would come in, they would eat it, they'd take it back to their nest, feed their nest, and hopefully you're knocking out the queen because each wasp nest has its own queen. Just like a honey bee hive is going to have its own queen, each wasp nest has the same thing. So you hopefully knock out that queen and knock out that entire nest. And what you end up doing is over a period of time, you end up reducing the amount of wasp population in your general area. And so you have just less and less and less wasps that you have to deal with.
So what you're saying is if you and a lot of your neighbors were able to do wasp baiting, the amount of total wasps in the area is going to go down dramatically.
Oh, it'd be night and day difference. I mean, even at my house, when I first moved into our house last March in 2023, we had multiple wasp nests left over from the previous year, right? The previous people living there hadn't done anything for pest control. There's 3 or 4 old nests up there. I stuck up 8 bait stations around my house. And that summer, we didn't have a single wasp nest. This year, we've had one, and it was a minor one, and it was removed and gone. Now, we still see them from time to time flying around in the trees and stuff. But yeah, if I had more neighbors doing it, I'd have less around my home. And everyone would be the same way. And so it just ultimately is killing off that population more and more and more. And the biggest factor we've found is the earlier in the season we can start the bait stations, the better results we get. So most people think, oh, the wasps really get bad in April, May, more towards June, right? That's when you really start to see the problems.
Yeah.
Well, what we found is wasps will actually hibernate throughout the winter. They start to come out in those warm days in March, and the first thing that they're looking for is a food source. So if we can provide the cat food, which is a protein for the food for the wasps, then we're killing them as they're getting started, and we get way better results.
I remember as a kid, my first memory of wasps. My family was camping in Douglas, Arizona. I remember it was Douglas. This is near Tucson. Near the border in Arizona, but it was up in the mountains. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to guess I was probably like 7. My younger brother, I had to be older than that. Let's say I was 10. So I wasn't 10. Let's say I was 8. 8, and then my younger brother was 5, and my older brother, just above me, so if I was 8, he would have been 11. So that's the age difference. Well, we had this tire, and we found the tire, and we were playing with the tire, rolling it down a hill. Well, we rolled it down a hill, and it hit this huge log, and we were all together, and all of a sudden it hit a wasp nest, and these wasps came out. I mean, there must have been, as a kid, it was like thousands, but it was probably hundreds. And I was the only one to, I'm guessing I was the only idiot, because I was the only one that just stood there.
Uh-huh.
My brothers freaked out and ran right past me, and all the wasps went right by me. I didn't get stung, and I didn't move. Now, and I've noticed that when I'm around wasps, that if I'm calm, it's like if I'm calm and I'm not like it's like they almost like they don't even know that you're there.
Yeah.
Do you know the science behind that? I mean, my brothers got stung. I'm going to say each got like 20. I mean, I remember sitting around the campfire, them putting on all this cream all over their bodies. And here I am, the one, and I remember even hearing, at this point, I can remember hearing the wasp go right by me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's a science behind it. I have heard that there could be something with your blood type.
Can you look that up, see, Nate, and see if there's like if you are calm, or if you're like pheromones that set it off. I wonder if that's something like that.
I have also heard that they have thermal vision, so they can see heat. Wasps, I tell customers, wasps love 4 different things. They love heat the most. They love water. They love food, which is protein. I saw a wasp attack a fly the other day and eat a fly. So any protein source they can get.
And they love football.
Yeah.
That sounds like the ultimate
Fantasy
guy.
Football.
That's the guy.
Right?
That's a guy. You just described every man.
And then they love plants, because they will use those plants, and they'll take the cellulose from those plants, and they'll make paper with their spit. And that's how they make paper for their nests, right? So any type of leaf, your grass, your trees, your bushes. But heat is their number one most important thing. So in fact, nests on different sides of a home will actually grow at different rates. Their larvae will grow at different rates depending on the heat that is around that. So think the hottest part of your house is the south side of your house. So that nest might grow at 2 times the rate that your nest on the north side that doesn't get that much heat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So as far as that story goes, I have no idea.
Was I just lucky?
You might have just been lucky.
It does look like wasps generally don't attack people unless they feel threatened.
Yeah.
To avoid being stung, stay away from wasp nests. Avoid making loud or sudden movements around wasps.
That could be it.
Remain calm and leave them alone.
So here I am calm. So there's some science behind that.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah. And I'll hit nests thinking that they're dead, right? Up on somebody's second story eave, back a bit of ways. Our pole is one of the longest in the valley. We can hit almost 30 feet above us. And so we can reach some nests pretty far back.
So poles that you extend, and they can go up, and then you can hit high parts of almost anybody's structures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They're
barns or anything.
Barns, the peaks in their houses, right? Those weird angles and different stuff like that, right? And I'll hit nests, and I'll have 30 wasps come out of a nest, thinking it was an old nest, right? It was gone, and they'll just go nuts, so crazy. And I'll just stand there, and they'll go flying right past me and above me, and they don't bother me at all. The times that I worry about wasps the most is when I don't see them.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
when I'm reaching past a bush. Like I got stung treating for gophers, and there was a dang wasp nest in a bush. And I put my hand close by the nest, and I got stung.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Or a couple of weeks ago, I got bit by a wasp. Because wasps can bite and they can stink. The bites are less painful, luckily. But my neighbor reached out, said, "Hey, I think I've got wasps on my fence line." And she pointed at something. It wasn't a wasp. And I'm like, "This?" And a wasp flew out from like a foot down the fence line and came and bit me. And luckily it was just a bite and not a sting on my hand, or my hand would have swelled up.
Ugh.
But with that, and going back to your original question, I'm telling more and more people, you need to carry an EpiPen.
Yeah.
And it like
You should have it in your home.
in your home, in your vehicle.
You can
right?
get them at Costco, I think, EpiPens.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I've been meaning to get one myself, but I think they're just as important as having a tourniquet.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You never know. That the three things I think somebody should have in their vehicle is a tourniquet, Narcan, and an EpiPen.
Yeah. There was, especially with the fentanyl issues that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
And just because you never know when what you could in your lifetime need all three, you could need one, right? But to me, those three things are the top three life-saving things in our society today.
And if you really and maybe an aspirin,
or a gun.
well, okay, yeah, let's get real.
Yeah.
Yeah, a rifle. Okay, let's go back to what I'm thinking is that majority of homeowners are worried about spiders.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, and it might be multiple years in a row. No one's died recently from a spider bite.
Yeah, so the deadliest spiders we have in Idaho are what?
Black widows.
Yeah, and I see them all the time,
And-
especially in agriculture.
Yep.
You know, but I don't see them necessarily too much in the house,
Yep.
unless it's a crawl space that's, I guess you'd probably see it there, but
Yeah, and we don't see them a ton,
No.
right? They're more far and few and in between. They like dark areas that are not being frequented by humans,
right.
right? And that's most spiders. Most spiders are nocturnal, so they like dark. They like it cool and damp. Well, and that's your crawl space.
And this is
usually.
the reason why you don't want to be a mouth breather. Because, well, I can't remember. Well, Nate, one more thing
I don't
to
know
look
if
up.
that is true.
No, it's true. Nate, look it up. How many spiders on average does an average person consume?
You're gonna freak people out.
I don't care, but we were just talking about that today. I think it's in the hundreds.
In a year or
No, lifetime.
Oh,
In your lifetime.
In your lifetime.
Like
How many spiders do you ingest?
Spiders go in your mouth and you actually eat them and you don't even know it. While
You're
you're
like
sleeping.
a Venus flytrap.
Yes. Yeah. And this is a reason why you shouldn't be a mouth breather, because it's a dark area. It's moist. It probably is stinky as all get out. And it's this pheromone. Oh, I heard this. Okay. Nate,
Well-
this is another one. Okay. I got to tell you this. So there was a beauty company. What was it? Like Sephora, something like that. Something. Anyways, they came up with this compound that they said was good for your face. So this girl put it on her face.
Oh, dude,
And-
spiders just love it.
It was pheromone to male spiders. She woke up to hundreds of spiders all over her face.
Oh my goodness.
And so
That'll do it. Pheromones. We use pheromones all the time
Oh, in
And
what you do
for
pest
pesticide.
control?
Yeah. For example, if you have Indian meal moths, which can just show up in your house from the grocery store.
Okay, what is this? Indian what?
Indian meal moths.
Oh, moths.
They're moths. Yep. The larva gets in your flour, your rice, your cereal boxes. It can come in any type of grain. A lot of times we see it in your bird seed that you're getting from D&B, Home Depot, that type of stuff. Because those are much less regulated than your normal, food products. You bring them into your house and the larvae are eating that, and then the larvae hatch and they end up becoming a moth, and that moth ends up going and laying more eggs, and those eggs hatch and create more larvae, and they'll chew through plastic and cardboard, and they can be.
How do you get rid of that?
It's a big process. It's treating with multiple pesticides and different things. The number one thing is removing all of your food that could be a potential food source. So that's actually the most expensive part, is
Getting rid of everything?
especially nowadays with Bidenomics, is your grocery bills. Right?
Yeah.
But one of the things we use is a pheromone, and it disrupts the breeding cycle of the Indian meal moths. And so they can't breed, and thus they can't create more larvae and propagate the problem. We do the same thing with cockroaches. And we don't have a big cockroach problem here in the area, and we don't necessarily have a big Indian meal moth problem.
Is the cockroaches, since you said Biden, is the cockroaches the pheromone you use? Is it Kamala?
No,
Is it Kamala pheromone
no.
that brings the cockroaches? I'm sorry, I had
No.
to throw the political side of that.
Yeah. No. So we'll use pheromones a lot of the times for specific problems.
Okay, let's go back to spiders though. Everybody is
let me, and I can give you a little update.
Yeah,
on the
give me an
spiders.
update on this.
It's not going to be what you like. It's that it's actually a myth. The myth that humans swallow spiders is from sleeping is debunked by several experts in arachnology. And it says, in summary, there's no scientific evidence to support the claim that humans consume spiders while sleeping. The myth persists largely due to its sensational nature rather than factual grounding.
Okay, so
I was going to say.
But that being said, if your mouth is closed, you're not going to swallow them. If you are closed, there is a chance. There's a chance.
There's a chance.
Okay, the myth is debunked. Dang, that would have been that would have been a good one if it was not debunked.
The thing that scares people the most about spiders is when I tell them that they can fly. Most people don't think that spiders can fly, but
is it with their webs?
It's with their webs. They create a balloon. If you remember Charlotte's Web, the movie,
oh yeah,
and all the little eggs that hatch at the end of the movie, what do they end up doing?
Oh yeah, they float away.
They float away and they fly away in the wind. Or when we're out hunting, have you ever seen like those glints?
Okay. So this is what I tell this story, and people don't understand well, you were part of that, but I don't know that you were there at the exact moment when I noticed
didn't see
it.
all those.
So we're doing the sniper competition. It's in the middle of the night. John and I are walking through this one area, and I noticed all this glitter, and I was like, and I didn't understand I thought it was sand. I just, with my headlamp, I thought it was just all a bunch of little sand that was sparkling back at me. Then we got to this like cliff area, and we were literally with 50-pound packs going up this cliff. You had to do it too. We were going up the cliff.
I didn't end up making it to that point.
Oh, you didn't?
Remember both times my partners had to leave for medical reasons. Pansies.
Just kidding. You never did, but it was everybody. It was the other two.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, we were going up this cliff, and as I put my hand on a cliff, a spider about the size of my palm walked across it. It was either a black widow or like a tarantula.
Probably a wolf spider.
Or maybe, but it was big. And it walked across my hand, and I remember pulling it off going, and at that moment, I'm thinking, you idiot, you're on a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
The spiders can maybe bite, but it's not going to be as bad as if you fall.
No.
Luckily, I had my other hand, but it freaked me out. So I was like on spider alert. Went up, did the activity, went down a different way. And as I was going through, I started seeing this glitter, and it's everywhere. And so I really got down low. All that glitter was spider eyes. Those eyes were all looking at me. And I realized the millions of spiders that were out there. And it's a little freaky when you realize the entire ground is all spiders.
Yeah.
Anyways.
This is out in the middle of
the desert. Well,
thousands of acres of a ranch.
High mountain
Wyoming.
Desert area.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That being said, there's more spiders than we think there are. But the reality is the spiders do a lot of good, but they also, the dangerous ones you just don't want in your home.
Yeah, and that's where pest control comes in, as we treat, in fact, this time of year is our spider season, and our pesticide that we use is specifically for spiders. It says it, like the number one thing on it is spiders and scorpions.
Oh, that's what it takes care of. Will you have scorpions in Idaho?
Yeah.
But not very many.
Not very many. You're going to see them more out in the Owyhees, south of Kuna, your deserty areas, and even then, far and few and in between. And again, I'm not an entomologist at all. My degree's in business finance. I just decided to start a pest control company and be an entrepreneur. But yeah, when it comes to spiders, it's the thing that scares people the most. I can't tell you how many men and like hardened men, veterans, like from the military, my old pest control boss, all deathly scared of spiders. I know more men that are scared of spiders than women. It boggles my mind.
Yeah, I'm not that afraid of. I mean, I don't like them.
No, like to the point they see them and they're up on the counter.
No.
Like that kind of stuff. Calling me saying, "Hey, I saw one spider."
No, like traditional for me. If I don't have like a tissue I'll just slap it with my hand and kill it with my hand. I don't have a problem with that. So I don't think I have a big fear of that. All right, here's the question of the day. I came up with this question yesterday. Okay. You both, Nate and Alex, I want you both to answer this. Okay. So this is the question. Since we're talking about spiders, okay, you have to do one or the other.
Okay.
You got to pick one or the other.
Okay.
Okay. One is eat a live tarantula, size of my hand.
Okay.
Got it? Okay, that's one option.
Can't kill it first.
You can kill it.
You can kill
You
it.
can kill it, but you can't let any of the juices out. You got to eat all of the spider.
Okay.
So it's not like you can squish it and then have it squished. No, you got to eat all the juices.
Take like a needle and kill it.
You got to kill it, but you got to eat the entire thing.
Okay.
Okay. The other option is you got to take a full-size salmon,
Okay.
put it in a large, like 2-gallon glass jar, put the lid on it.
Blend it.
Nope. And you put it out in the sun for 1 week and let it just ferment.
Oh.
And it's going to have all the juices and everything else. And it's going to become, okay, are you going to do the spider or are you going to do the salmon?
Can you roast the spider?
Nope. There's no cooking.
Fresh.
You got to eat it fresh.
Nate?
Nate, which one are you going to pick?
I think for me, I'd definitely go with the spider.
Yeah.
I think the salmon sounds less, the salmon sounds gross, but it's also such a huge amount of meat that you'd have to.
No,
right?
No. You don't have to eat the entire salmon.
Oh, just one bite?
Same amount?
No. It's the same. So whatever the spider weighs, it's the same exact same amount.
I think you would throw up from the salmon. I don't care who you are.
They say, so this is a delicacy in like the Samoa,
fermented
Tonga,
salmon.
some fermented fish like this.
And it's a week?
It's a week. It's a week to 10 days.
Is it
like
open, left in the open air, or do they put like saran wrap over it?
No. They put they completely enclose.
Oh, they seal it off.
They seal it off.
Oh, I could see that.
But it ferments.
You're sun cooking it.
But
you're drying it.
But you're fermenting the thing, and it's
for a week.
For an entire week, it becomes almost like a gelatin. I picked the salmon. I can't imagine eating a spider.
You just pull the legs off.
Oh my gosh, no! But the salmon, they say when they open the jar that it's the worst smell you can imagine. Could you? Oh my gosh!
I don't know if it'd be worse than our wasp bait stations after fermenting for a month.
That's probably true. Now, here's what's interesting. I asked everybody in the team, all these females, okay, which one did you think that? Now, I've got people that
salmon.
I thought they'd all go salmon. No, it's 50-50.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about 50-50. And I've had people that are deathly afraid of spiders, like the littlest spider, and they picked the salmon. No, they picked the spider over the salmon. I'm like, really? And the thought of eating a rotten fish, they just couldn't do it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. It'd be 6s for me.
Oh, and I had this patient. What would you do? Okay, this is really interesting. Patient was in Alaska.
Okay. They
catch a king salmon. Uh-huh. And they were really excited. They love sushi. This is fresh.
Worms.
They take it and they do their sushi. They're eating it, and there's like 2/3 of the fish still left, but it's all been skinned. And they had just finished their sushi. They were all enjoying it with their wasabi. Worms. They get done. They go over and they like, why is that fish moving?
Worms.
It was full of worms. They immediately went to the emergency room, and I guess they had to be put on huge amounts of ivermectin.
Oh.
So it's one of those where it's like, before you do your little sushi thing.
Well, they wouldn't let us eat raw fish in Peru on my mission.
Oh, they wouldn't.
No, and that's like the delicacy in Peru is ceviche.
Oh, because of that reason then.
Yeah, is because Peruvians say it's cooked. It's cooked with lime juice. But it's not really cooked. So the church wouldn't let us. That was like a big no-no, was eating ceviche.
Okay, so let's go on to another area of what you do, which I think is actually brilliant. Having a farm, the one thing I hate so much is gophers.
Yeah.
I hate them so much. They're so destructive. It's hard to kill those little So and you knew this. I bought that thing where I can't remember.
It was actually developed, I think, in Emmett.
Yeah,
A
in
guy,
Emmett.
guy developed it in Emmett, and it was propane and oxygen. You pumped into the tunnels and blew it up.
Blew it up.
The coolest thing ever.
It was cool. It's hard to do, but it's cool. It would shake the whole house. I mean, it would.
So the thousands of gophers I've killed,
Yeah.
they run around tree roots. They run right next to people's foundations.
I mean, plumbing, electrical.
Water lines, your
Yes.
sprinkler systems, right? All those sorts of things.
So
They're all around that.
So when you're blowing these things out in the field, okay.
Yeah.
But the problem is even in the field, I've got underground sprinkler.
Well, and
lines.
even in the yard, I mean, we did it in the yard growing up, and you're destroying your yard even
Yeah, you
more
are.
at that point,
Yeah.
right? And
It
so
is cool though. I mean,
I tell customers all the time, it's the coolest thing ever.
you killed that sucker.
Oh, you know it's gone. So there's 4 ways to kill gophers. There's effective ways. Okay, there's trapping, which is the tried and true method. The benefit to it is when you kill a gopher, you know you've killed a gopher because it's in the trap.
Yeah, that is my dad's way of doing it because he loves doing it.
Well, it's like killing wasps.
Yeah.
You see them dead, and it's that instant gratification.
He
right?
loved doing it.
The problem with it is it's super time intensive, right? Super labor intensive, and you're only killing one at a time.
Yeah, there might be a family down there.
Yeah, and most gophers will have 5 to 6 pups in a litter, and they can have 2 litters a year. If they have a great environment, they can do it in the spring and in the fall. So you could have 7, 8, depending on the litter size and if both parents are in there.
Gophers and wasps were created by the devil, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were created to make me money.
Yeah. And I hate it.
So that's the old way. The most common way by pest control companies is to poison them.
Major issues with that, though.
Major issues. I can't tell you how many times I've come in behind another company, and the gophers push the poison back to the surface. So you've got kids, pets, and other wildlife to worry about. So unintended poisonings, right? Now never know. I've never heard of a kid or a pet picking that up, but you could just imagine.
Yeah, but it's deadly stuff.
Yeah, they're depending on what product they're using. They're either using an anticoagulant, so think of a high dosage of ibuprofen, or they're using a neurotoxin, which will kill anyone.
So if a gopher ate it, didn't die immediately, and a dog then was chewing on it,
Depends if it was the anticoagulant or the neurotoxin.
ugh.
The neurotoxins are starting to get some hatred even in like California, right? You gotta think the state that's the most regulated,
Yes.
right? And one of the problems is birds of prey, condors, owls, eagles, all those types of things. You see so they use the same stuff with mice, with rodents, right? You think you're a bird of prey and you see this mouse that's struggling, looks like he's drunk, right? That's an easy target. Well, you ingest that and it's a neurotoxin, it will pass over into your blood system. The anticoagulants, much less. There might be some passover, but it's like you just gave them a dosage of ibuprofen. Typically, the rule of thumb is with an anticoagulant, you have to eat your own body weight in that to be able to have it be lethal to 50% of a population.
Oh.
So with that one, it's called a multi-feed. They have to eat it multiple times, and slowly it kills them over a period of time. So that's the only one that we use. Unless there's a severe problem, then there's no risk of affecting anything else.
Yeah, but so how do you treat gophers?
So with gophers, right? So we have the trapping, the poisons, the blowing them up. Some old timers used to flood them, but gophers actually have an irrigation system or like a sewer system to where they know it's going to rain. They're sophisticated animals. And so instead what we do is we actually use a machine developed by a firefighter out of California. California is riddled with gophers. And the machine's called the Burrow RX machine. And we pump carbon monoxide into the tunnels. It, within a couple minutes, has replaced all the oxygen. And it's just like you sitting in your garage with your door closed and the car running. Everyone knows that's dangerous. Same thing for gophers. So it's pretty painless. They go die pretty quickly. We run it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we add a smoking agent so we can actually see where that tunnel's going. I'd say about 75% of the time we can end up seeing that gas seeping through the ground. And we know, okay, the tunnels ran to this point.
Yeah, I've seen you do it. It's kind of interesting because you go, okay, here's this. You see the one gopher hole, and you think, okay, you might see another mound. It's just connect, and then next thing you know, it's all over the place, and then you just see the gases escape, and what you know is it's killing everything.
Yeah, everything that's in that tunnel system, and it's just gone. And the cool thing is, there's no cleanup. There's no dead gopher I have to throw away in your trash can or anything like that. But the way we treat it is we get into the tunnel system, we treat it once, we wait 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, there's a potential that we've missed something, or a new gopher can actually use old tunnel systems, right? Neighbors moved out, well, I'm going to move in and use their house, right? So we'll wait 2 weeks. We'll see if anything's come back up. Usually if we got a really good treatment done the first time, then there's not anything the second time. But then we get add on extra 2-week warranty after the 2 weeks, just in case. So in total, we have a 30-day guarantee, and we've taken care of multiple areas of gophers and had really great success with it.
What do you see in the future for pest control in the home pest control market? Do you see AI taking do you see a robot going around? We're going to have little nano robots that are going to go around and kill the little bugs. I mean, do you see any of that stuff, or is it going to be,
there's a potential. There's, we try to stay at the forefront of the industry. And right now there's mini drones that use AI in greenhouses, and their number one problem with bugs in greenhouses are moths and their caterpillars, their larvae that they lay, right? And that caterpillar will go and eat plants, right? Think of spinach and lettuce and that type of stuff that's grown a lot in the greenhouses. And so what these AI drones will do is they have cameras that watch for a flying moth, and then it sends out this little killer drone, and the drone uses its propellers and it zips it or cuts it in half and just flies underneath it and just goes zoop and kills it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Wow.
But it's all based off AI. That drone has a wireless charging. So as soon as it gets done with that, it goes and lands back on a platform and starts charging again, getting ready to go kill the next moth. So, could we see something like that for maybe houseflies? Potentially. But your general pest outside is probably a little bit harder. Just with the regulations, the pesticides, all that sort of stuff, you need a human interaction at this point. What I do see is that there is a treatment used in some parts of the country where they do wall injections. So as the house is built, there's pipes that are built into the house to where a pest control truck pulls up, connects to it, and he fills your wall with a goo type thing to kill pests inside the walls. Typically, that's more for cockroaches, and in those areas that have.
Do we have cockroaches?
Not natively. The only time we deal with cockroaches is when they're introduced from some other part of the world. So, California, your deep south, Louisiana, Hawaii, or traveling outside the country to Mexico or South America or India or something like that.
So we should be grateful for our cold winters.
Yeah.
That keeps a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
Away.
Yeah.
Are we being invaded by anything that new? That
there's always a risk for something new. Luckily, the environment, the geographical area that we have,
we really have it pretty good.
Yeah.
In comparison.
Yeah. For example, the introduced famous bug for our area are box elder bugs.
Yeah.
The first case of box elder bugs ever found in the United States was in Caldwell.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah. The first case ever.
Yeah, and if you get an infestation of box elder bugs, they can take over a tree.
Yeah, we can get rid of them.
You can't get rid of them?
Yeah.
At one point, they didn't think. I mean, they were having a heck of a time getting rid of them.
Yeah. We can keep them out of your house. You're not going to eliminate them completely. They're just like any other bug. But we can, if you're having an infestation, we can target them and get rid of them
No.
with 1 to 2 treatments typically. And then if you just stay on top of it, we're getting rid of
So
them.
you're one of the fastest growing pest control companies in the valley,
Mm-hmm.
and you're growing dramatically fast. What's the tip if a patient you see where my mind is, if a customer needed some service, they needed some help, how fast can you have somebody to be able to come out and be able to meet with them? Are you
Depends
like
if I'm elk hunting. Usually we're trying to get there within 24 hours.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So it all depends on our schedule. Like this week, we've been super busy. This is our lawn care week. We also treat for lawns. And actually bringing that up, it's super important that your lawn care guy also understands the bugs.
Oh, because it's all
interconnected,
yeah,
right?
for
It's
sure.
the environment that the bugs are living in. And so if those two philosophies aren't matching, you can be creating problems and vice versa. And so the number one thing we found is overwatering and watering during the wrong parts of the day are increasing ants, earwigs, spiders, wasps. Because what you're doing is if you're watering, let's say at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you're putting 1/2 inch of water down, well, your yard is Louisiana.
Yeah.
You're just creating a humid environment, which then creates microfunguses in your yard, which then certain bugs are eating that fungus and microbes. Then bigger bugs are eating those. And then your spiders, your ants, your earwigs are eating all that.
So let's put this to rest, Mr. Professional,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people are of the opinion, I need to water. Okay. This is what kind of is frustrating, coming from the farming background
Mm-hmm.
and having pastures and everything else. I water during the worst of the heat. I water once a week,
Mm-hmm.
but I water for 12 hours. Now,
Per zone.
per zone.
Okay.
Yeah, I water per zone. That's a lot of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of water, but you do that to get the root system to be able to be really, really deep.
Yep.
And I have a very vibrant, beautiful yard. I mean, it and the fields are the same. Now, if you're in a subdivision, which now I am, but in a subdivision, you can't necessarily water for 12 hours.
No.
But you see some people that are watering 15 minutes every day.
Yeah, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
And they're watering at the wrong part of the day.
Yeah. So if you were going to say, and everybody's different because like where I'm at on a farm that's been there for years and years and years, that root system is deep, 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 deep.
Sure.
So to help the entire root surface, I got to be able to, in comparison, the field right next to me is an alfalfa field. Very similar. Now those roots go super deep. They set their sets at 24 hours. So they're going for an entire 24 hours before they change their sets. In comparison to a yard that is going to be in most subdivisions, you want to look at not how long you're watering, but how much water are you truly getting on it, correct?
Yeah, because every neighborhood, every house in the valley is different.
Yeah.
No two are the same, right? And there's multiple factors that go into that. The number one factor is where are you on your line in your neighborhood? You could be at the beginning of the line or you could be at the end of the water line,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your pressure is going to be different. It also depends on which of your neighbors are watering at the same time as you are. So most people like to water between 6 to 9 o'clock in the morning, right? You think about it, they like seeing their sprinklers on when they first walk out and they're headed off to work. Okay. So there's those factors. There's how are your sprinklers set up? What coverage are they covering? Is it one sprinkler's covering a huge area or do you have multiple sprinklers covering a small area? So it doesn't matter any of those factors. And the problem is you talk to any lawn care guy. In fact, I just got off the phone with a guy this afternoon. This is his first year in the valley. Went to a local, well-known hardware outside landscaping company. right, store. And was talking to the guy, and the guy told me you shouldn't be watering every day. He's right. The employee of that company is right, but he didn't give him enough information.
Yeah.
So the guy cut back his water, cut it back to every other day, and now his yard's dying.
Yeah.
Right? It was fine before, but now it's dying. What matters is how much water you're getting on your yard per day. So we call it the tuna fish can method, or the cat food can method. But what you want to do is, I tell customers, it's better to do it throughout the entire yard in different zones. But if you're doing this end of May, June into July, look at the dry areas of your yard and put out some cans and measure, do a cycle for 15 minutes if that's what you're doing, or 30 minutes or whatever, and look at how much water you're getting in your yard. And what you want to see is how much will that zone and that sprinkler give you for that spot. And you want to be getting 2 inches of water per week. Kind of the rule of thumb is between an inch and 3/4 to 2 inches and 1/4.
2 1/4 inches. So
2 1/4 inches. I like 2 inches.
That can, you want to see in a week's time, you want to see that that's filled up.
Yeah.
And so that would give you an opportunity, or just even one watering, and then you knowing how many waters you're going to get. But
so the rule of thumb is most people water 3 to 4 times a week, right? And so if you're watering 4 times a week, you need to be getting around 1/2 inch of water per watering cycle.
right. Okay.
Right. That's the easiest way to think about it. So if you went out and you ran it for 15 minutes and you only got 1/4 inch, okay, and I'm doing this 4 times a week, I need to double my time for this zone. Every zone could be different.
Right.
And that's where that tuna fish can comes in. Now, the reason why we say don't do it every single day is, one, water conservation, right? And pressure conservation for your other neighbors. But the other one is you can create microfunguses that create more bugs.
Mm.
And luckily, Boise is enough of an arid environment to where we're not going to get fungus too bad, to where it's going to kill your yard.
Mm-hmm.
You could potentially do it, but it's going to be difficult to do. But what you want to do is you want to put your grass through a little bit of stress, because that's how the roots are going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Your roots know to chase water.
Yeah. If you're seeing it always just super, super green, and you never see that kind of that glazed look over the grass,
Almost like a lime green color.
yeah, then you're probably overwatering.
Yeah.
Not overwatering, but you do want to get your root system. Like mine's a brand new house.
Yeah. Your yard would not do well if you went to once a week.
No,
Because the root system isn't there.
Exactly. But I also don't want to like overwater it to where it never gets down. I want to see some stress.
Yeah.
I want to see some stress. I want to get that root system down.
Yeah. And so over the course of the next 4 years, potentially, I tell customers, if you want the best and you want to get to once a week, start at 4 times a week. Then next year go to 3, and next year go to 2. And then the 4th year, you can be watering once a week. The problem is if you have a vegetable garden that relies on your sprinkler system, because that turns over every year. I tried doing that with my yard, going to twice a week, and I was drying out my vegetable garden. So I had to increase it back up, right? So if you're doing 3 to 4 times a week, you're going to have a healthy yard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Alex, it's been a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
You hold you have 3 things that hold the key to my heart. And so I wish you nothing but success. Being my son, I'm extremely proud of you and what you've done.
Thanks.
And I love those grandkids. Love them immensely. Thanks again.
Yeah, anytime.